It's the Rush Utah High School Sports every day. Here we go, Larry. Set hot.
What does the Rush Ultimate Champion Tournament look like in baseball and softball?
Well, let's take a look. We talked about this last week. It was kind of a joke, but it got some good response. People want to see this, Larry. People want to see the state champs playing up against each other. I don't know if we can literally do it at the Sandlot, but maybe we come down to St. George. Bruce Hurst, I think it's supposed to be in the 80s next weekend. This upcoming weekend. Is it supposed to be in the 80s? If that's the case, let's do it down here. If it's a little too hot, then we go up to Cedar. We do it up there. We just need to get this done. Here's what the bracket would look like in baseball. You've got number 4 Union versus Kanab. That game's at Thursday at 1 p.m. The winner of that game will go on to play the number 1 seed, which is American Fork. Now, we wanted to figure out a way not to gyp the lower classification teams just because they're lower classification. We didn't look at the RPI rankings or whatever too hard on this, Larry. We went pretty simple. 6A gets to bye. 2A and 3A have to play the 6A team. I could understand if you're a Kanab fan or a Union fan, you're not going to like that crap. But that's just what we're doing. This is all made up. It's not actually going to happen unless we could pull it off. So Union versus Kanab, that would be Ryan Oakey versus Walker Baird. Who wouldn't pay money to watch that, Larry? You've got the Veroscos, you've got Grady Anderson hitting for the Cowboys, Hayden Gubler. On the other side, Gannon Labrum, Tyson Marks, Davin Brothersome. That would be a great matchup. Winner goes on to play American Fork. Then you've got the 4A versus 5A semifinal, which is Snow Canyon versus Spanish Fork. This game happened. First game of the year. First game of the year for Snow Canyon. Spanish Fork had played a couple. It was 5-2. Spanish Fork got the win. And it was, it was Lamson versus Zach Beck. That would probably be what it would be in our imaginary tournament as well. That would be great. When they played in early March, it was kind of a weird game. There weren't a lot of long flies from Snow Canyon. In fact, they only had one extra base hit. Trayvon had a triple. Spanish Fork had no extra base hits. So the first game, it's March. There's still a little bit of chill in the air, even though they're playing in St. George. We'd love to see that one again. Snow Canyon lost to Spanish Fork, but they beat American Fork, who's the 6A champion, obviously. So that would be great. We'd love to do it. Let's figure out a way if we can. Softball, here's what the bracket would look like. You'd have Grantsville playing Enterprise. The winner of that would go on to play Riverton, who's the 6A champion, and then Salem Hills versus Desert Hills, which would be a rematch of a game that took place 2 or 3 weeks ago where Desert Hills won. So that would be a great showdown between those two again. And I understand coaches might not want to do this because it's like, look, the season's over. Most of our team has graduated. They're down in Lake Powell. This is never going to be able to happen. And we're going out champions. We won. We don't want to go play and 5 of us go home losers while there's only one champion, which I can dig. And I understand it probably never could happen, but it's fun to talk about. I would say, worst case scenario, throw us a bone and do it like a Maui Invitational style, Larry. So next year, opening tournament, you've got the Rush Tournament of Champions, where you do this, and I understand it's completely different teams and a bunch of your best players have graduated and stuff like that, but at least it's kind of a cool, these are the 5 teams that won the state championship in the spring. We're all gonna get together and do a little, because usually those programs, Kanab's always at the top, Snow Canyon and the Farks are always at the top, so Union. So I still think that would be a cool thing to do. You could also do an all-star thing. So if it's too much of a challenge to get the teams together and you don't want to go out a loser because you just won the state championship, then let's do a 3A, 4A, 2A all-star weekend with all the all-state kids getting together, and you do it that way. 2A plays 3A, etc. That would be a lot of fun. You have a home run derby. Same goes for softball. You got Kennedy Blackmer up there swinging, hitting home runs. You've got Harmon Skeen and the boys hitting home runs. And the baseball side for the derby, you do an alumni thing. There's a million different things we could do, Larry. Let's put it together for next season. We were caught sleeping this year. We weren't ready for it. We'll be ready next year. But congratulations to all the state champs. And it's fun to think about these games actually taking place. One more thing about Spanish Fork that I meant to say is all their guys are underclassmen. We talked with Taylor Berg about this last week. Their top two pitchers, their top three hitters, I think, were pretty much all juniors and a sophomore, with Nixon Warren and Sammy Dart, and then Trig Cloward. I think Trig's a sophomore. So they're going to be awesome again next year. They've won back-to-back. They won as a big underdog last year. They won as the 1 seed this year. They'll be expected to win it again next year in 5A. So looking forward to another great season next year. Anything else, Larry, that we missed? I think that'd be a lot of fun. Boom!
Some supporters. Gotta be one at all times.
What's the coolest thing about Skyridge's upset of Corner Canyon?
I would say one of the coolest things, kind of as a spectator at a distance, is that ninth graders were a big part of Skyridge dethroning Corner Canyon, who had never lost a postseason game. I know lacrosse has only been going on for a handful of years, but Corner Canyon is the Goliath, have never lost in the postseason. And here comes Skyridge, who had a great year last year, was undefeated going into the playoffs, lost an overtime game. I forget against who. Was it East or somebody? Look that up, Larry. But they come back this year. They get some star ninth graders, including Caden Hobbs, who was one of their top points guys. Tamanui Toai Johnson, who had the game-winning goal in the state championship, was awesome. And then you got their seniors like Dylan Forsgren, Cabell Beekner, and Carson Butterfield, who are all three of those seniors, by the way, Larry, those stud seniors who were tops in all the stats and stuff like that. All three of them were 4.0 GPA kids. That's pretty incredible. They're all going to, let's see, Cabell's going to Washington and Lee. Carson Butterfield is going to the University of Utah, and Dylan Forsgren is going to UVU. So heck of a senior class for Coach Butterfield and Skyridge. And congratulations for knocking off the Goliath. Another impressive thing to me was Corner Canyon, Coach King after the game was super classy. You think about a guy who doesn't lose and is probably shocked by the upset. And there was a controversial play in there where a goal was taken away, a kid was in the crease or something like that. Did not complain, didn't blame anything on anybody else. He said, we played really well to begin the game. They got the best of us at the end. They took us out of our game. They went into a zone and all this stuff and got the win. Credit to Skyridge, and this will fuel us for next year. And for a team that hasn't lost in the postseason, it was bound to happen at some time, and I'm sure they will use it for fuel, Larry, for next year. So congratulations to Skyridge, the Falcons, getting the state championship in 6A. Boom. All right, we're going to take a break. Show today brought to you as always by Appliance Wholesalers Plus. They've been supporting high school athletics in Southern Utah for over 25 years. We love AWP across the freeway from the Bloomington Walmart. Do the cheat code. Stop paying retail like a bunch of suckers. You go to AWP, that's wholesale pricing, all the best Samsung, GE appliances, Shane and Jesse, Salt of the Earth guys will help you get the best appliances, washers and dryers for your base. If you've got a baseball player who's playing all summer, softball player, the dirty pants every night, it'll drive you nuts. Get the best appliances at the best prices at Appliance Wholesalers Plus. Welcome back. Show today brought to you by our good friends at Grass Creek Construction. Big booster of the community. Every place they build. Huge supporter of sports and local athletes getting the attention they deserve. We love Grass Creek Construction. What do you got, Larry?
Water is for cowards.
How many yards will Coy Doman throw for in his first year as a starter?
Well, I think it's going to be a very exciting year for Pineview and Coy Doman. You know, I still feel bad about what went down with Coach Boyer, who was building, and it's always a tough job when your school, your community's expanding, and here comes Crimson Cliffs, and a lot of your kids end up having to go to another place. There's an inevitable kind of dip that happens when that happens most of the time, and Pineview is kind of going through that a little bit over the last few years, and now they've started to kind of rebound in everything, including basketball. Baseball's always pretty good. Football's always been really good, and with the last iteration of Pineview football that they had with one of the best players in the state with Brock Harris and Levi Shaw putting up huge numbers, and Melosi Moores having a great career at Pineview. They lose a lot of those guys, but you've got the great Ray Hosner returning, which we've talked a lot about. And I think if you're Coy Doman, there's not a lot of spots you can think of that has a coach who's going to put you in a position to have a heck of a time playing football and putting up huge numbers. Coach Hosner has had 3 quarterbacks, by Larry's count over there, Larry, double check your numbers, but 3 quarterbacks who have thrown for 4,000 yards in a single season. And that doesn't include James Lark back in the day. That's Cody Wilstead, like in 2013. It's McLeod Croton, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's Braden Bunnell, who they were all over 4,000 yards. A couple of them had I think McLeod had 47 touchdowns in his top year. Braden Bunnell had over 40 touchdowns, Larry. So this is like playing for Mike Leach or somebody in his prime at Texas Tech to go and be the quarterback at Pineview with Coach Hosner. So I'm really excited. Coy is already getting attention from Division I programs and visiting places and getting offers because big, strong kid, great bloodline. We're looking at some of his highlights now, what he was able to do in JV. He played some varsity last year and just looks like, the real deal. And he's got 3 years with Coach Hosner. So I think it's going to be a very fun season next year. As far as people coming back, with how often there's transfers now, Larry, I haven't confirmed a lot of these, but Kyle Richardson got injured. I'm hoping he's 100% for week 1 against Manti, which is August 13th, because he is awesome. He could be the top back in Region 9 next year, potentially. He had that one game against Timpanogos last year where he went over 300 yards, had 5 touchdowns. He's incredible. Garrett William is a stud, catching the ball out of the backfield and running the ball as well. So they'll have run support. They'll have Max Yoakum back. They'll have the freshman tight end, Jax Carlson, sorry. Jax Carlson as a 9th grader would sub in at tight end every once in a while for Brock Harris, and their numbers were similar enough where it was you couldn't even tell. You've got Brock Harris, who's the tight end in the country, and then you've got a 9th grader who frame-wise, height-wise, it's hard to distinguish the two. So he looks like a stud, and the chances he had getting targeted last year, he was awesome. So he's going to have a great long career with Doman, who's the same age of him as a 10th grader. So really excited for Pineview football. I think the offense is going to continue to be awesome. The last few years, they're putting up 40 points, and Levi Shaw had an amazing career putting up stats and stuff like that. I think it's just going to get even more with Doman and Hosner coming back. And if you look back at the last time Pineview went to a state championship, where they went and played Skyview in 2019 with the Mackenzies, they were just outrunning people. They were just track meet. We're going to throw it 45 times a game and we're going to score. Their defense is what needs to improve, obviously. But with this system and the type of run and shoot, or whatever you want to call the type of offense, you're going to give up some points, but you're going to score in the 40s almost every game and win that way. So really excited. Great talent. Excited to have Coach Hosner back for the Circle Black.
What is the best mascot name in Utah?
All right, let me start with some honorable mentions here, Larry. This topic is going to tick off a lot of people, so I don't know why we're doing it. We're trying to be a positive, happy-go-lucky high school sports show here and keep it all positive. But you asked some tough questions. Let me give my honorable mentions. So the Manti Templars, awesome. I don't know how this didn't make our top 5. That is great. Nobody's called the Templars in high school. It's applicable. There's a temple there. So that should be top 5. And I'm kind of bugged that it's not, Larry. Carbon Dinos. You know, there's probably other schools in the country called Dinos or youth teams called the Dinos who are 8-year-olds who just pick the name. But this is the Dinos that actually is rooted in history, in the Jurassic period, in fossils. If you believe in dinosaurs, apparently they were here. And so Carbon is named after the Dinos, which is awesome. They make the honorable mention. They're not going to be happy about that. I wanted to bring up, while we're talking honorable mention, the Deer Creek Riverhawks. Because what our metric is for rating the best mascots in the state is it unique and is it tied to the area in some way? There was a huge controversy up in Wasatch about this new school because the original name was the Iron Horse Thunder. And there was a huge outcry, there was a petition, and they changed it from the Iron Horse Thunder to the Deer Creek Riverhawks. Here's what I want to say about that. Iron Horse, and apparently the Iron Horse Thunder, rumors on Facebook was that a kid came up with that and submitted it as a ChatGPT name, which is funny. But Iron Horse is awesome. That is awesome. It's Lou Gehrig. It's the train history in that area. Nobody is Iron Horse. Where they went wrong, or ChatGPT went wrong, was it doesn't sound like the name of a high school. Iron Horse should have been the mascot, not the name of the high school. So here's what I would offer to the good folks at Wasatch, from Lawrence the Pigskin Picking Robot and the Rush and myself. Let's just do the Deer Creek Iron Horse, because Riverhawks is beautiful. I'm sure the logo is going to look awesome. And at Deer Creek, it's very scenic, and that's a very beautiful scenic place. Let's do the Deer Creek, but let's put in Iron Horse, because that's an awesome mascot name that nobody has. And it's you can come up with an awesome. The challenge of doing a new high school is coming up with a unique, cool name, because they're all taken. They're all the good ones are taken. Iron Horse is not taken. There's probably an Iron Horse somewhere in Pennsylvania, but there's not a lot of them, and I think it's great. So let's do Deer Creek Iron Horse. Okay, here we go. Here's our top 5 list. This was made by Lawrence the Pigskin Picking Robot. Number 5, the Davis Darts. Davis gets a lot of crap because of their color scheme. I love the color scheme. The Wyoming brown and yellow. Davis has great history. They got great alumni. I love that they're awesome at football, and they got a bunch of their talent coming back. Arguably the best player in the state this year. The confusion I had was, in my research, they said they're called the Darts because of the Hill Air Force Base, the fighter jets that are called Darts. And so they said, hey, we'll be the Darts. Apparently that's not true at all. Apparently it's the Darts because of there's a couple different things that I researched. And they said they're called the Darts because of how an opposing coach in the 1920s, or maybe it was a newspaper writer, described their offense. The double wing, the backs are darting around, and so they call them the Darts. So apparently it has nothing to do with the Hill Air Force Base. But the Davis Darts are number 5. If you have better information on that, write us. We'll correct ourselves, but they still deserve to be top 5. Number 4, this is the Jordan Beet Diggers. Sugar beets, big deal in Jordan in their agricultural history. Beet Diggers, nobody's the Beet Diggers. It sounds like a Cal State baseball team, like the Banana Slugs or something like that. Love the Beat Diggers. That's number 4. Number 3, the American Fort Cavemen. Cavemen is cool regardless because nobody's the cavemen, but it has an actual tie to caves in Timpanogos and writing or something. So that is tied to history. Bonus points for that. That's why they're number 3. Number 2, the Bingham Miners. Where would the state of Utah be without Sanford Bingham and his open copper mine, biggest in the world? You got to shout out. One, the school is named after a historic figure, and 2, miners make sense. Number 1 with an asterisk because I did not realize the history of this name either. And you could call it a homer pick because I'm broadcasting from Dixieland. But the number 1 name in high school sports in Utah, drumroll Larry, is the Dixie Flyers. Now, I was under the apparently false understanding that the reason the Dixie Flyers, first of all, Dixie's great, Flyers is great, but I was under the mistaken understanding that they're called the Flyers because of flight training that went on here in Washington County with pilots, great weather all the time, long history, which is all true. But apparently, much like the Darts, the Flyers were named by a Chicago newspaper writer back in the 20s. The Dixie Flyers basketball team went to the Windy City to compete in a tournament, and one of the writers was saying how this team from Dixie is flying around out there. Nobody could keep up with these guys. They're flying around, and that's how they got the nickname Flyers, because of this newspaper writer. So that's still a great story. It's just different than what I thought. Congratulations, Dixie Flyers. Homer alert, number 1 team name in the state of Utah. Welcome back. It's The Rush. Thanks for being with us. We're thrilled to have Coach Hinckley and the Wasatch State Champ 4x400 team here with us. We got Ashlyn Kendall, Bryn Fetters, Savannah Hume, and Kennedy Hunt. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm going to start with Coach Hinckley. This is a special group of 4 who had an incredible performance at state, but let's go back to the beginning of the year and just kind of give us a season in review when it came to this event with these 4, Coach.
Well, I'll kick it back a little further. I remember right at the end of state last year, I looked around, I went over sports tracks. I wanted to see what we could end up doing the season that was coming up. And I took a look at things and I thought, this is a state championship girls 4x4 team. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. And I thought, there's going to be a lot of things that factor into it, but we have a legitimate shot at, making some noise at state. And so when I looked at these 4 girls and I looked at what they could do on the track, they all are, all of their PRs in the open 4 are a minute flat. You rarely see that on a high school girls team. It is a really impressive feat. And so when I took a look at that, I thought we really need to get things moving. And we opened up the year a little bit behind where I knew that we needed to be. I think we opened up girls was at 408 at Pineview.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah. So we opened up the year a little bit behind where we needed to be. So I really, I tried to make a few training adjustments. I'm no perfect coach. I was blessed with a few really great athletes. But outside of that, we definitely, we worked a lot on, we tried to change up how we did handoffs a few times. I put them through a few pretty brutal workouts. I don't get to work out with Kennedy as much because she is a hurdler, but the rest of the girls know how hard it gets out on our track. But other than that, rounding down to when we showed up at Region with a few other very, very good 4x4 teams, Maple Mountain, Springville included. Springville, the team that finished 10 meters behind us at state. I definitely knew it was coming. And there's a really good Box Elder team out there. There's a lot of really good girls 5A teams. And just watching every lap coming around that race, that was awesome.
Well, I'm going to have you go through and just tell me a little bit about each girl on the 4x4 team, just what type of competitor they are, what type of runner they are. Let's start with Ashlyn Kendall, Coach. and kind of her
Well, that's
story.
perfect because Ashlyn's our starter. Ashlyn is a fantastic athlete. Ashlyn's one of those athletes that every coach wants, hangs on to every word, makes recovery a priority even more than training. So she is just awesome. She's only a sophomore and she's running a minute flat in the 400. That's something to speak to right there. Like I can't say enough about how much energy and positive energy she brings to practice every day and how ready she is to learn. And just I can't wait to see what she does in the future.
And then, Ashlyn, tell me about your experience this year and working with these other three to kind of get from the beginning of the season when you were running a 4.8 or whatever to where you had that state championship time last weekend.
Yeah, I actually, during the beginning of the season, had a few injuries and I wasn't able to race the first 4x4 at Pineview. And I think that was really devastating for me. But as like the season went on, I was able to grow with these girls and we've like just been able to make such a relationship and make this such a fun race.
Awesome. And then, Ashlyn, I'm going to have you tell me about Bryn, what she's like, and then I'll have Coach do the same, but I'll have you start, Ashlyn.
Yeah, Bryn is awesome. We love her. She's like really the positive energy. We'll be warming up and she'll like be hyping us all up and like has the good energy. And I just love her so much. And she's just such a great competitor to run alongside with. And she pushes me so hard.
Excellent. Coach, I'm sure you'll agree with all that, but give me a little bit more about Bryn.
Bryn's kind of my wild card, you know. Bryn is such a talented athlete. She is so fantastic. I've got a buddy who coaches down at SUU, and he looked at Bryn, and even before he'd ever seen a race, and he goes, "That's a 400 runner, right?" And I was like, "Ah, yeah." So she's an amazing athlete, and like Ashlyn says, she's super positive. She's fun to have around. Sometimes I've got to get after her a little bit. I need to get her to focus in a little bit more, but she is awesome to have on the team. She is as much as she hates to admit it, she's a fierce competitor. As much as she hates to admit it, but she is so great. She has a great future coming up her senior year. She's ran some amazing times, and I just once again can't wait to see what next year holds.
Bryn, what is the reputation of this event? Like, is the 4x400 considered like the most brutal? Because it's just breakneck the whole time. I know there's other ones that are probably considered that too, but what is in your mind, what's the reputation of this event versus the other ones at a meet?
I think the 400 in general is considered like one of the hardest events by people who don't run it too. But the 4x4, I think, has a more like positive side of it. Everyone loves watching it. Everyone will come cheer us on. And like before we go out and race, we'll go and tell the whole team and other people, we're like, you have to come watch, you have to cheer for us. Like it'll be fun. I don't know. I really enjoy it. And I think we can all say that, but I think it's a really fun race and we've grown to love it more.
And what was that gold medal winning run like from your perspective? Take me through your part of it.
For me personally, that was like the most excited I've ever been for a race. I didn't have any like negative nerves. I was in a really good headspace and I was just excited to run. And I think that played an important part into us winning. And I think we all were like, we were really excited. We knew we had the mindset that we could win. And so I think that really helped us out.
Awesome. That's Bryn Fetters. Bryn, I'm going to have you tell me about Savannah. What was she like on the day of the race or the moments before the race? And then just all season, what type of teammate is she like?
Savannah also is the positive energy too. She's always the one hyping us up. She's like, guys, we got this. It's going to be great no matter what happens. And she's really fun and excited all the time. She's always excited for stuff, even when it's hard. She just keeps it positive, and she's really hardworking. And I think she pushes all four of us.
Excellent. Then, Coach, back to you about Savannah too.
Savannah was actually our sprints team MVP this year. She's once again a fantastic athlete. I like to see Savannah as kind of my killer. You know, she's gonna go if there's anyone ahead of us, she's gonna hunt them down. If there's anyone that's even close, she's not gonna let them be close. She state qualified in the 100, the 200, the 400. She was a state qualifier as a part of our 4x1 team as well. She could have been part of the 4x2 team, but they have that pesky event limit. So she really is just an all-around fantastic athlete. She has worked extremely hard to be here this year. She's balanced spring soccer with track. Like,
Oh,
it's
wow.
just it is an athlete that you always want on a team that you need. And like I said, she's a killer. She unlike Bryn, I think she'd really like to be described as a fierce competitor.
Awesome. All right, great. Savannah, take the folks maybe watching this who aren't track people into the training and getting, I mean, track practice and that stuff. Coach was just talking about a few questions ago about the intensity and stuff like that. What is your experience about just how difficult it is to prepare yourself to be able to compete at this high a level at state?
And for sure in the beginning of the season, we start by doing weights, and then we definitely have our harder workouts in the beginning of the season because we're trying to build up our endurance and try
Sure.
to build up everything. But then as the season and kind of the bigger meets started happening, like region and state, we started to calm down on the workouts a little bit and make sure that we're rolling out really well and just taking it day by day and making sure that we're not getting worse at all and just kind of taking every practice really well and really mindful.
And remind me, where are you at in the four for the relay?
I am the third leg.
Okay, so tell me about what that was like in the race that you won at state. How were things looking? What did you have to do as your part of it in that race?
Things were looking pretty good. Bryn and Ashton got us into first place, and so I just had to make sure, and I knew that I had to keep that lead, and so that we could give it a good lead for Kennedy. But I just had to make sure that the spring girl wouldn't catch up to me.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about Kennedy. Savannah, tell us about the anchor here.
Kennedy, I love Kennedy. She has one of the most powerful mindsets I know. I play soccer with her, and she is our goal scorer. She's so determined, and she will not back down. And that's exactly how she is in track. She's successful in hurdles and as well in the 4x4 and the open 400. And she's just so mentally strong, and I love that about her.
Okay, excellent. Coach, tell us about Kennedy.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I don't get to work with Kennedy as much. She is a hurdler by trade, so I don't get to yell at her 100% of practices. But no, she's awesome. And kind of as Savannah mentioned, she's very headstrong. She's very mentally tough. I think kind of one of the key points that I saw in that 4x4 that they won is with about 200 meters left, there was a little surge by the runner that was behind us. And Kennedy, I don't know where you find it, but she found a way to hold her off. And I kid you not, if they had went to that last corner and we had fallen into second, I don't think we would have won that race. And just when Kennedy felt that girl come up beside her and she was able to have a little surge of her own to stay ahead, I mean, I just about passed out on the sideline. But it was an extreme demonstration of the mental fortitude that she has to keep herself in races, to really compete once again at the highest level. It's amazing.
What was that like, Kennedy, when you probably were feeling the runner behind you and you turned it on?
Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking. I felt her coming on me. They all gave me a great lead, so I knew I had to keep it. But I felt her coming around, and it was super helpful having my entire team was right there at 200 cheering for me, letting me know where she was, and it was just I knew I had to do it for my team, and so I gave it everything I could to keep us in front.
And what is that moment like after you win the race? Help me out here. Is everybody right at the finish line so you can celebrate, or are people coming from other places and celebrating the gold medal win?
So yeah, they as soon as you finish your lap, they get you off the track as soon as possible. And so when I finished, I just gave them my baton. I walked over, and we were all celebrating together, not on the track, but we were just waiting for our time to come around. But yeah.
Amazing.
They've got a little bullpen down there at the BYU track where they herd all the runners off after. And
Okay.
I just went sprinting over there from the 200-meter mark. And I showed up, and all of them were just passed out on the ground like a can of sardines.
That's great. That's awesome. And you got them back next year, right, Coach? All of them.
Well, funny enough, for the first time ever, the Heber Valley is going to be split into two high schools.
Oh, what? Okay, I didn't get the
So,
memo on that.
well, so a few years, I think they announced it a few years ago. I mean, Wasatch, I believe by student numbers, is like the eighth largest school in the state. It should be a 6A school.
I see.
But with the school splitting next year, there will be a school over towards Midway, and then obviously still Wasatch High School.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know where all the girls are
Okay.
going yet because spring sports gets a little bit of, a little bit of a grace period to finish
Okay.
up and let the kids figure out where they're going. So I think the track, baseball, and boys soccer teams are the only students left that are still allowed to decide. Tell me if I'm wrong, girls.
Wow, so some tough decisions to be made. I say let's bring it back. Let's go. We're going gold again next year. This is a
I
heck
would
of a
love
group.
it.
This is
No,
an awesome group. Coach
it's a
Hinckley.
fantastic group.
Yes, it's been a blast to talk to you. Congratulations once again, Coach Hinckley, Ashlyn Kendall, Bryn Fetters, Savannah Hume, and Kennedy Hunt won gold in the 4x4 5A, ran a 4:02 to bring it home for Wasatch. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy your summer. And whatever the heck happens, we'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back on The Rush right after this. Send us your highlights, Andy at therushutah.com or anywhere on social media at The Rush Utah. It's The Rush Utah, high school sports every day.